So this first one is one of my favorites, which is a peanut butter pumpkin dip for your apples. So pumpkin is very high in fiber. Whenever you get this at the grocery store, just make sure that it says 100% pure pumpkin. You don't want that pumpkin pie filling because it's going to add a lot of sugar, preservatives, and additives that you don't need in there. And so we're going to mix pumpkin with peanut butter. We're going to drizzle in a little bit of maple syrup and add some cinnamon, and it's going to be one of the most delicious things that you have ever tasted. I'm not kidding. And then we're going to slice up apples and use it as a dip. So let's go ahead and we'll get these mixed up. And what we'll do is, since we are kind of meal prepping this for the week, we'll just use this whole can of pumpkin. If you didn't want to use the whole can of pumpkin because you just wanted to try this recipe one time, you could just use, half of the can and then save the other half for later if you decide that you do like it and you want to make some more. Or if you don't really like it, you could use this in your morning oatmeal. I know we have some oatmeal eaters on here, so that's another way to add some extra fiber, some extra vitamin A, some cancer-fighting beta-carotene. Really, really good stuff in canned pumpkin. Lindsay, yes, pumpkin everything. Okay, and then, so we're gonna do equal parts pumpkin and peanut butter. I'm going to rinse this spoon off so I don't contaminate my peanut butter with pumpkin. And I'm using a creamy peanut butter. You also could do a crunchy, chunky peanut butter, which adds a little bit of texture and is also really nice. The thing with your peanut butter, again, look at the back. Make sure that it just says peanuts and maybe a little bit of salt. That's all you really need in your peanut butter. So we've got about, I'm gonna say, a cup of pumpkin. In here, okay. So pumpkin and peanut butter. I know this looks a little crazy right now. And then we'll do a little bit of cinnamon. I feel like you can't ever overdo it on cinnamon, but start with a tablespoon and then go from there. And then we're really just gonna do 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, pure maple syrup. Kind of eyeballing this because I make this all the time and I'm pretty good with eyeballing the measurements. Recipes in the newsletter. If you're not currently signed up for the newsletter, you can. I'll drop a link to that in the comments section here in just a second, so you can go ahead and sign up and get these recipes for this coming Friday when we send out the new newsletter. All right, so you just mix it all together. I always like to bring this recipe out in the fall, when pumpkin is at its peak. But you can really have this anytime because canned pumpkin can be found at your grocery store all times of the year. It's beautiful. I'm going to give it a quick taste. Yeah. And the great thing about this is you can tweak it. If you like more of the pumpkin flavor, add a little bit more pumpkin. If you want more peanut butter flavor, add some more peanut butter. But it's a really, really lovely, lovely dip. Okay, so then the apple slices. So we want this to be ready to go, right? When you're at work or wherever you are, you're not going to have the ability to use a cutting board and a knife to get your apple open. So I've got a fun little trick here. We're going to pre-slice. And what we're going to do is basically put it back together with a rubber band. So your apples are going to brown whenever they're cut open and exposed to air, but if we can stop the exposure to the air, kind of like an avocado, then we can prevent it from browning. So we're basically just going to put it back together. Oh, I think I might have assembled it wrong. Uh-oh. I guess that's the tricky part, huh? And we're just going to use a rubber band. All right. And if you don't have rubber bands at home, check your fridge, because a lot of times the produce that you buy is wrapped up with rubber bands. So there you go. You just keep your apple together like this. You're reducing the exposure of oxygen to the cut side of the apple, and you've got it to go. And then we'll just package some of our dip This stuff is really filling. Like I said, there's fiber in the peanut butter and the pumpkin, and there's fiber in your apple. So I would start with like half of a cup. I mean, you could put a whole cup in here, and then of course, if you're full, you just stop eating it. Do you guys have any favorite kinds of Tupperware that you like to use? It's so good. All right. Put the lid on it. And then you would, cut up your other apples, however many that you're gonna wanna take to work. And then we'll just stick all of this in the fridge. And there you go. So that is snack 1.